Raymond H. McDonald, thank you so much for taking some time with us. Your book right here, Merle Haggard, was a friend of mine. I was excited to interview you about this. Obviously, Merle Haggard, a staple in this community for 40 years when he moved to Palisadro back in 1976. Had a houseboat up there that he used to love to be on. I remember covering his death 5 years ago up there as well. Talk to me a little bit about your relationship with Merle and why the reasoning for this book, sir.
Well, I met Merle in 1964. He lived across the street from me, him and his mother and his 4 children. My best friends were Mike and Buddy Owens, and their mother was Bonnie Owens, and she married Merle in 1965. In 1965, my mother and father and family moved to Southgate, and it was terrible down there. They had the Watts riots at that time, so I called Mike and Buddy Owens. I said, can I move back to Old El and live with Bonnie and Merle and you and my 2 friends? And Bonnie and Merle said, yeah. So I lived at his house the whole year, 1965, my sophomore year in high school, with Merle Haggard, Bonnie Owens, Buddy and Mike Owens, and Bonnie's mama.
That's awesome. So the people up here, you know, Merle is just, you know, in the community for so many years up here, and you know, we're talking about that. And then give us a little bit of insight into Merle. Give us a little something that maybe folks wouldn't know on the surface level. What was he like? What was it like being around him?
He was a great human being. He was very kind, very caring for everybody. One of the chapters in my book is called Merle Loved Animals. He even had a pet turkey out there in Palisadro.
Yep.
He did. It's in the book. And of course, his music was the solid basic foundation of Merle Haggard. He loved music, and he made music all the time. And it was great to be around him. He loved having a guitar in his hands, and he loved to sing, and he loved to go out and perform for his fans all over America.
What was a great moment that you'll never forget with him and with his family?
The Kennedy Center honors, 2010, December 2010. I drove his bus back there, and took his manager with me, Fuzzy Owen, who at the time was almost 85, I think, right around 80 years old, and a couple of other people. And he went into the Kennedy Center honors with Paul McCartney and Oprah Winfrey and Jerry Herman and a dancer by the name of Bill Jones. It was incredible. It was a 5-hour deal that they condensed down to about a 2-hour CBS special. And Barack Obama was sitting next to him. And the biggest people in the world, the biggest, most powerful people in the world, politicians, actors, singers. It was incredible. And they did, Willie Nelson was there and sang for him, Chris Christopherson, Miranda Lambert. It was unbelievable. He really deserved it. That was a tremendous honor for Merle. That to me was very emotional. And for Merle, it was one of the highlights of his career.
Yeah. What a great experience. What do you think the North State area, the Palisadro area, Shasta County meant to Merle? He was there for so many years, obviously 40 years plus. What did that area mean to him?
Everything. You know, he lived in Bakersfield until he went up there with his brother Lowell, and fell in love with Lake Shasta. Yep. Immediately bought a house out there in Palisadro and a big ranch. And of course, he lived on the lake for about 8 years, I think. And he had Silverthorne, the resort out there.
The Silverthorne, right. Yep.
And he loved to fish, so he was fishing every day. He actually had a hole cut into the bottom of his houseboat, and he would open up the latch and open up the place where they could drop a line down and catch fish from his living room.
That's not bad, right?
And he was funny. He was a funny man. You know, he had serious songs, but he was hilarious. He had a great sense of humor, and he laughed all the time. And every day his eyes would mist up over something.
Yeah. Let's talk about your book a little bit. Merle Haggard was a friend of mine. First of all, how do folks go about getting a copy of this if they'd like to?
That book is published by a United States of America printing company called Book Baby. And I ask people to go to store.bookbaby.com. So they're the printers, they're the on-demand people. You can, of course, get it through Amazon or Kindle or Target, a lot of different places on the internet, but that's the publisher printer. Book
Great.
Baby.
Gotcha. Book Baby. So when you were writing this book, let's talk to you about this. You know, obviously so many great moments with Merle, but what prompted you to go ahead and write the book?
I didn't want the stories to be lost.
Yeah.
I've got 50 years worth of stories.
Yeah.
I drove his bus the last 5 years of his career, his personal bus. I drove the band bus. I got to watch him record songs when I was a teenager. I watched him record The Bottle Let Me Down at Capitol Records in 1966. I watched him record some songs off the Jimmy Rogers album in 1967. He came on my radio show when I was a DJ when I was 18 years old. He came on my radio show in the middle of the night with a brand new album called Same Train, a Different Time, the songs of Jimmy Rogers.
Yeah.
He came on my radio show many times. He just, I didn't want the stories to be lost. And also it's a tribute to Merle. It's a very positive, revealing, beautiful stories about Merle Haggard.
You know, we lost Merle 5 years ago in April. What do you think, you know, with everything that's gone on over the past year and a half, what do you think, how do you think Merle would have felt about the state of the world right now as it is?
Oh, he'd be upset.
Yeah.
He was always topical on the news. He had the news on all the time. And if he didn't have the news on all the time, he had the weather on all the time. And if he didn't that, he had his religious channel on all the time. He was a very spiritual man. But I think he'd be like everybody else, just wondering why.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what else? What else would you like to say? What else would you like to talk about? Is there anything else that you feel is important?
Yes, I had a lot of help on this book. My son, Benjamin McDonald, who knew Merle well, he's 40, lives in Sparks, Nevada, and
Yep.
he's a writer. And so he helped me edit the book, immense help. And my friend from high school, Rebecca Sheeran, helped me immensely. And my sister, Connie, she's a retired school teacher. She helped me grammatically edit the book because it's not easy.
No,
It took me 4 years. I wrote all these stories down, and then I said, "This looks like somebody in the 8th grade wrote this."
Watch that grammar, sir.
Aaron, I needed some help, bro.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. Last thing I'll ask you here: what would you like to say to the folks, who either knew Merle up here, who still live up here in Shasta County, and just and all the community really here in the North State, who just loved Merle Haggard?
Well, I wanted to tell him how much he loved them.
Yeah.
I mean, he never moved.
Yeah.
I think he went to Nashville for a year, but like living in Nashville, he came back and he wanted to stay up there in the north area of the state. He loved it up there. He loved the people. He got along with everybody. He was a part of the community. He'd go to Holiday Market every day.
Yep.
He'd go to Lulu's. He had his own booth out at Lulu's, man. And we went to lunch there all the time, and all the other great places to eat up there. And he had hundreds of friends, and they just adored him, and he loved the area. He wasn't going to leave.
Nope. Stayed here the rest of his life. So, Raymond H. McDonald, thank you so much for the time. Pleasure to talk to you. Truly honor and pleasure to talk to you. Your new book, Merle Haggard, was a friend of mine. I've started to read it. Thanks for sending it up to, and again, thank you for the time, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.